The Rome Colosseum is an iconic piece of architecture that still stands to this day. The ancient Romans who built it believed in the virtues of loyalty, fairness, conviction, and above all, courage. This contrasted heavily with the more compassionate virtues of their neighboring empires, and helped them achieve a lot more in the realms of combat, technology, and architecture. The Romans implemented their system of Roman numerals after the Egyptians and Greeks had become all too comfortable with the idea of counting in numeric values. The Romans named their numbers by letters which would signify a particular digit that would be added up with other numbers. The system is still prevalent today, and we see it just about everywhere, but where we see it the most is probably in the realm of fiction. Ben 10 was an American cartoon that began in late 2005, and there's nothing else really like it on television. Created by a group of 4 aspiring artists in the early 2000s, Ben 10's premise was unlike anything else at the time, and immediately sparked interest in me watching as a little kid. I used to get DVDs of this show and watch them as a 4-year-old on the TV. I remember seeing how the show ended and thinking to myself, I wonder if they'll ever make more of this beauty. How can you mix aspects of family drama, sci-fi adventure, exciting superhero action, and goofy comedic antics all into one thing? It was just amazing to watch a kid like me save the world and turn into 10 freaky aliens. Who could have come up with this crazy premise? It was incredibly inspiring, and especially as a kid, you just couldn't help but want to be like Ben. He was just so cool. How could he be so brave? How could he have so much courage? The virtues of courage and conviction among the Romans had served its purpose, and given birth to many aspects of Western civilization. The same Romans who gave us the means to invent things like, I don't know, motion pictures, probably didn't expect us to pass them in social progress. They also probably didn't see it coming that we'd be the ones to give rise to a new order back in Rome. Almost like a rebirth of sorts. Ben 10 Alien Force aired in 2008 to generally positive fan reactions and still serves as the best show in the franchise by the opinion of many fans. Almost every Ben 10 fan I've spoken to regards the first 2 seasons of Alien Force to be the greatest in the franchise. Ben 10 Classic ran for 52 stellar episodes from 2005 to 2008 and came to a decent conclusion with the movie delving deep into a lot of the world building aspects of the show. If you ask any Ben 10 fan, why do you watch Ben 10? A lot of them will say the action, maybe the story, the animation, or the jokes. But the thing that truly sets Ben 10 apart from the other shows is its incredible world building and lore continuity. After the show came to its conclusion, a lot of fans craved a renaissance of sorts, and more stories with a more nuanced tone and plotline, which is why with the new Alien Force continuation, we get a lot more world building and a bunch of new aliens. From the very start of the show, the alien that got the absolute most build up and had 13 episodes worth of hype and longing from the fans was Alien X. The Roman numeral for 10 being used for Alien X is the perfect metaphor for this alien's treatment in the show. Not only is he the 10th alien in the show called Ben 10, and Alien X just sounds cool on its own, but on a deeper level, Alien X represented exactly what the Romans believed in culturally. But we'll get to that a little bit later. You clicked on this video to hear the truth about Alien X, and the truth is, he's really not that good of an alien. In fact, I'd say he's overrated as hell. Now wait, before you scorch the comment section with endless drivel about your own formulated scientific 1000 IQ opinions, just know this video is completely my opinion, and frankly doesn't affect anyone in the slightest. I just love Ben 10, but think Alien X has had its fair share of anomalies. Which anomalies, you may ask?
It's a legitimate question.
We meet Alien X in his premiere episode, X equals Ben plus 2, an incredible episode title if I do say so myself. Alien X saves the day by fixing a broken dam and reverting time in a specific location to stop the flood. Here we learn about his inner voices and the concept behind Alien X. The first floating head inside Alien X's mind is Bellicus, the male figure who serves as the voice of rage and aggression, and at times can be incredibly brash and belligerent. Usually, he is the one who holds back debate. This can cause a lot of tension in the character, and is often the vice in Alien X's character, which stops him from being infinitely powerful. Without Bellicus, Ben would probably get whatever he wanted all the time, which would make Alien X pretty boring after 2 episodes. The second aspect of Alien X's subconscious is Serena, the voice of compassion and kindness. Serenity, if you will. Often, she's much more accepting of new ideas and agrees to go through with Ben's requests, which are usually challenged by Bellicus anyway. However, her overtly kind persona also makes her the unflattered one. When Ben betrays or insults them, she can be indecisive and offended. Ben serves the third and final voice in Alien X's mind, and is essentially the voice of reason. If he wants to do anything at all, with the Celestialsapien's omnipotent abilities, he has to pitch it to the 2 other voices, and they need to come to a unanimous decision. This hardship is what makes Alien X interesting, and technically, Ben's worst and best alien simultaneously. It's like you have all the power in the world, but you also have none. Since Bellicus and Serena have been debating for all of eternity, now that they have Ben as a tiebreaker, they can't just let him go all willy-nilly. This is why in their very first encounter, Alien X stands absolutely still and silent, as the debate is continuously happening in his mind. Serena and Bellicus don't allow Ben to make any actions after the dam debacle, and hold him hostage inside Alien X, not letting him transform back to human. This is until Ben insults them both, and they agree to let him transform into another alien, and do what he does best. This is why Alien X is only used on 2 occasions up until Omniverse, and why Ben vows to keep Alien X for emergencies only.
My most powerful transformation ever. But it isn't worth the price.
The next time we see Alien X is his only appearance in Ultimate Alien, in the grandest episode of all, the Forge of Creation. The gang is chasing Egregore to the Forge of Creation after he steals all 4 pieces of the map of Infinity. Ben has to unlock Alien X from his database and transform, in the hopes that Serena and Bellicus will cooperate and give him the location of the Forge of Creation. They instead bicker about minor things until Professor Paradox somehow shows up and infuriates the 2 heads, who agree to destroy Paradox since he has some kind of restraining order against Celestialsapiens, the species of Alien X. Before they can though, Paradox thankfully transforms Ben back and gives him the location to the Forge himself. And so he does, and we discover the place where Alien X's, Celestialsapiens, are born. Almost like a forge of creation. Professor Paradox actually has a bit in common with Alien X in terms of sheer power. Both characters are immortal, and both characters exhibit powers of time travel and being able to commit feats on a universal scale. If Alien X is indecisive and ultimately slow, Paradox may be the one being in the Ben 10 franchise who could defeat him, given how autonomous and quick-witted he can be. But if Alien X is in power mode with all 3 personalities in full agreement, I doubt Paradox would stand a chance. The Forge of Creation is a very delicate place because it's the place Celestialsapiens spend their time deliberating, as well as giving birth to new Alien X babies. One of these is a baby Celestialsapien which Egregore almost absorbs for himself, which would grant him omnipotent power instantaneously. Thankfully he doesn't, and the universe lives to see another day. Omniverse is where Alien X really gets his footing, and where we see some truly mind-blowing things. Up to this point, we've seen him fix a dam, stand up straight, look cool. Not much is what I'm trying to say. Now it's time to see him change things on a macro crazy level. Starting it off strong in the episode So Long and Thanks for All the Smoothies, we see Alien X's coolest feat that he'll probably ever attempt. A concept that is so unique and crazy that it changes the show for at least a season after it, and fundamentally transforms Alien X from an overhyped humanoid star cluster to a crazy powerful being who can manipulate time and space itself. In Omniverse, we get introduced to the Nihilarg, a device that can destroy or create a new universe at the press of a button. This concept gets fleshed out more as the show wraps up, but here, all we know is that this box, if accidentally pressed, could destroy everyone and everything. And it does, in possibly the greatest scene in the entire show. I know I've ranked them all before, but consider this up there. The Nihilarg destroys all of time and space as we know it. Ben transforms quickly into Alien X, and his friends essentially see him stand there as they are all destroyed. Ben pleads to Serena and Bellicus to help him save the universe, but they are literally unable to. How do you recreate time and space when there's no time and no space? Nothing to save. And so we see the forces of Alien X all come together as Ben recreates the entire universe from scratch with only a few minor changes, with no one remembering any of this happening. It's a surreal moment as we see Alien X serve as the ultimate god, creating a duplicate of the entire universe, everything and everyone that exists, in a matter of seconds. Yeah, that's right. Where are you at now, Superman and Goku fans? All jokes aside, this debacle will get Ben into trouble a little bit later, but is ultimately Alien X that is most powerful. Any power scaling video or fandom article looks at this episode as the definitive Alien X moment, and if it wasn't for this scene, this video would probably not be a thing. And Alien X would have been treated as a thrown-out alien with incredible potential after 2 shows of showing what he's capable of. Alien X recreates the entire universe, and let's see where that lands him next. Recreating the entire universe without unanimous consent is a bit of a no-no in the intergalactic court. I mean, he did literally save all these people, but since no one was aware that Ben even did anything, and the Nihilarg was treated as a dud, the universe is rather suspicious about Ben's real intentions and actions. The trial is set to a fight between Ben and a gladiator Celestialsapien, who is pretty decisive with his 3 debaters compared to Ben, Serena, and Bellicus. Ben has a hard time convincing the other 2 to give him the keys to Alien X, which gives the other gladiator a huge advantage, until he entices them by giving them the opportunity to argue with without him if they give him what he wants. Unlike appearances before, here we see Ben utilize Alien X's hand-to-hand combat skills, which we haven't seen quite at all up to this point. We see Ben creatively use Alien X to punch the other guy, fly around and slam into each other, and duplicate himself into 1,000 Alien X's and vacuum the other guy into a freaking wormhole of Alien X. This marks his victory in this fight, the trial itself, and also serves as the final appearance of Bellicus and Serena, the spiritual end of the debate within Alien X. Later on in the episode Weapon XI, we see that Ben has mastered control of Alien X, where he can finally use him to do pretty much whatever he wants on a decently large scale without the need for debating scenes.
Ben has control of Alien X.
This allows him to throw all the plumber kids around, force them to fight each other, stop laser blasts with his hands, and defeat all of them without even an afterthought. This is really the last we see of Alien X in his entirety, and is another display of Ben utilizing Alien X's hand-to-hand combat skills pretty creatively. Sometimes when a character can do as much as recreate the entire freaking universe, you forget about the little things they can do, like stop laser blasts with the palm of their hand, and make allies fight each other one-on-one. This scene is pretty cool and is interesting for the fact that while it's not really important at all to the canon of Alien X, it really doesn't detract from anything either. What may change that is what comes next. Apparently, Alien X is so illustrious, not even the Ben 10 reboot can resist including him in at least one of their specials. Not undoubtedly their best, Alien X-Tinction marked the end of the show as a whole. Absolutely on a high note if you ask me. Ironic, isn't it, how Alien X is such a damn good character that even the Ben 10 reboot can make a good plot out of him? This episode is about an alternate universe Ben, who had destroyed his own Omnitrix out of spite when Vilgax murdered his Max and Gwen in cold blood, and he ended up traveling from Ben to Ben, stealing their Omnitrixes for his own. This Alien X doesn't have the internal system and everything that we see, and his power is toned down quite a bit, but we see a lot of cool action, including a scene of him destroying cannonballs. Honestly, what bad guy hasn't done this yet? And being able to materialize things and shapeshift. There's not really a lot of plot-heavy elements here, but that's not really a problem because they don't do Alien X dirty here at all. In fact, I'd say the opposite. This is a beautiful episode that takes another creative approach to telling the Celestialsapien story. Now, as many of you know, I tend to sway away from the reboot on this channel because I just don't enjoy talking about the show that took Ben 10 back in so many ways, but this is really a beautiful metaphor for Alien X as a whole. On Ben 10's lowest note, at a point where the show had been watered down into a cotton candy 11-minute children's filler cartoon, Alien X returned to end this on a super high note, even higher than some of the other Alien X appearances so far. Now maybe that's not really fair to the reboot, and I know a bunch of other episodes like Ben Gen 10 were also pretty fantastic, but as a whole, this invention of Alien X back in Ben 10 Alien Force was a groundbreaking idea that changed the game entirely, and morphed Ben 10 from a pretty creative action cartoon to a show that takes place now on a humongous macro-universal scale. A show that could go from fixing a dam using time manipulation, to traveling to a hidden forge in the universe where omnipotent beings are created, to recreating the entire friggin' universe by hand, to becoming an antagonist and killing off every Ben Tennyson in the multiverse. Alien X's character has been touched by teams of different writers, and has been enjoyed by fans for more than 10 years. And if you ask me, he represents exactly what Ben 10 is at its roots. A show that started off humble, and grew into a world-changing behemoth. Thanks for watching. Shalom.